Hello and welcome back to IJ Subito. Inter somehow draw Torino 2-2. What on earth is happening, Mikko?
Good afternoon, sir. Yeah, just finished watching the match, and it seemed it was like total Sunday walk, but then in a matter of minutes it turned upside down, and here we are with just a 1 point out of this match.
Well, lot to get into. I mean, let's start with the actual match itself. It, it felt so easy at first. It was a, dare I say, cagey first half where, okay, we never felt under threat. And while we weren't playing great, we get the goal in the 24th minute. DeMarco with yet another assist, and we're feeling good. I mean, Torino was not challenging us and really continued that way into the second half. And every Inter fan alive thought this game was over when Bissek goes up, scores a towering header. Like this game felt over because Torino had created so little for the first 65 minutes or so. And then it just all changes on a dime. And we have a horrible breakdown in the defense through Akanji. We concede a ridiculous penalty. And just like that, it's 2-2. And it, if this was in the middle of a Scudetto race, I'd be furious. We at least have the ability to know that, hey, we still have this thing under control, which is dialing back my anger just a little bit. But man, eh, let's talk about the performance before we get into the referee stuff. What do you think caused this to all go wrong? Where did we fall apart?
I think it is the complacency what you just described as an Inter fan. Like, or Inter fans thought this game is over. I think same happened with the team. Like, this is over. This is the routine. We grabbed the 3 points. We just scored the second goal, and that's it. But I don't know what was the minute when they scored that first goal. It was 70th minute.
71st, I believe.
Yeah. So there was still kind of a lot of match to be played, and it was it was we got stunned with that goal, and then we couldn't kind of take the match into our control anymore. And that's what usually happens when the kind of the mental mindset is that, okay, this is over, and then something happens, and then it's not over, and you can't pull it back anymore. And I gotta say, these guys in the back line, that trio of Akanji, so-called leading the line, then Augusto and Bissek, I'm not convinced of those guys. Like that was too weak. The first goal, it was too easy to kind of completely slice through our defense with basically two moves. First, Akanji was played completely out of the play, and then Augusto was like way too easily. Uh, Basically, the ball was going through him. It went through him, and it was an easy goal then. Uh, yeah, it's difficult to take the control back with those guys. That's my feeling. That there isn't this kind of leadership characteristics in those guys that they can kind of pull it off. And I feel that it doesn't help when Akanji plays with the ball like he does. When he tries those through balls like all the way to the forwards, and the forwards are like not in sync, and they just completely miss the ball. And I think there were a couple times in the match when that happened, and it was when Barella had to take the yellow at the end. He was very frustrated with Akanji because of that, or that's my feeling why he was so frustrated there. That he kind of gives up the possession like for nothing, because we are not in a hurry to try to score goals like desperately. We should just cycle the ball like we usually do. And I've seen this before with Akanji, that sometimes his way to play so direct, which is kind of nice, but sometimes he doesn't read the room, doesn't understand when to do it, and then the rest of the team is maybe not in sync, and then those plays happen. Uh, but other than that, kind of this losing the control of the match is, of course, you need the opponent to do something because they had this motivation after the goal, the 1-2 goal, that okay, we can do this, and they brought the pressure, and eventually the penalty game, which was, well, I don't know, it's a bit of BS, but well, the hand was there, so I guess you can call it like no questions. The ball was going toward the goal, and Augusto's hand was there. So what can he do? I wasn't happy with Augusto in this match.
Augusto was terrible today. Let's talk about the defense because you were hitting on it. Augusto had a disaster of a game. I'm not even talking about the penalty. Who cares? Like, we can get into the merits of it. But he gave up 2 point-blank chances in the first 10 or 15 minutes of this game from falling asleep in defense. It, it's really tough with me for this guy. He has not had a good season by his standards. He offers very little in attack. So we've been trying him deeper. We've been using him as left center back with Bastoni hurt, and it brings down the level of the defense. We all know who Bisek is as a defender, and the real guy I want to spend time is Akanji, because even besides the error that he obviously had on the first goal, I completely agree with you that this guy is not cut out to play centrally as a center back. I don't think it works. I don't think he's physical enough, and he makes too many defensive lapses. You talk about his like willingness to play on the ball, which obviously he's known for. I've seen Inter fans suggest playing him as a defensive midfielder. And there are different ways to interpret the central center back in a back three. I mean, I think about Bonucci when he was at Juve, and he was very much a ball playing center back out of the middle of their defense. The difference was he had two stellar defensive players flanking him in Barzagli and Chiellini. We don't have that when we start Bisek and Augusto. That's the opposite of it. You can't afford to have these luxurious, spins on the ball. Maybe it was a mistake at Kivu after we got the 2-0 lead. He should have put in, I don't even know who's healthy right now, but he should have put in DeVry or Acerbi in the center of the defense, kicked Akanji out to the right. That's some hindsight bias on my part because I did not think we needed to do that at the time. But clearly it didn't work. And I just have real questions about Akanji as central center back long term. And I really hope that's not the plan for next season because if it is, I have zero faith in this defense. It was it was a poor defensive showing. Even before we conceded the goals, we were conceding chances, and they weren't chances because Torino was dangerous. They were chances that were self inflicted, us making errors in the back three. So, not happy with the defense whatsoever. Maybe there's some tie in here to the midfield. And, I was getting to it with Sterling a little midweek about whether Zelinski's cut out for Regista and the implications that's going to have on the defense. Sucic isn't a good defensive player. So, a bit of a combination. Still inexcusable to blow a 2-0 lead like this. Let's talk about Bonnie for a second. Bonnie is just getting roasted by Inter fans. Obviously started up front in this game with Thuram. What do you think of Bonnie's performance?
Yeah, yeah. To be honest, I've grown to dislike him quite a lot as the season has progressed. And you guys discussed him uh, in the previous episode as well. Uh, it's just not good enough. He needs to be better. Uh, I think at the start of the season when he played, he got some kind of nice stats accumulated, but that was when he was mostly a sub player. He was brought in to play maybe against a bit tired defenses. He got the space, and now when he is starting these games, he's like a complete complete zero there when he doesn't have the ball, and 90% of his game is, of course, he doesn't have the ball on his feet. And if you are like at zero, what is your point being there? Like, that's not good enough. He needs to be better. He's too lazy to press. He doesn't seem to, he does, I don't know what's the case with with this guy that is it okay for Kivu for him to play like that because he keeps starting him, or what's the case? Is Pio too kind of exhausted that he doesn't want to start Pio, but I'm not convinced at the moment with Bunny. He needs to do a lot better, and hopefully, given he's gonna stay at Inter, I really hope he's gonna have a good summer because he needs to be better, a lot better.
It was a disappointing performance. It just feels like this guy's on an island when he plays in the attack. Too many times trying to go it alone. There was one moment in the first half where he's like, "I got this, boys," and proceeded to blast a shot into the side netting while everyone else just staring around. I, I'm yeah. I kind of talked about this midweek with Sterling, like you said. I'm content with who Bonnie is as a player. I don't get why you start him in this match over Pio unless Pio is tired from playing against Como midweek. Puzzling decision. I suppose it worked because we were up 1-0 when we subbed off Bonnie, but a disappointing performance. Well, maybe let's get into the penalty stuff now. Eh, I have a lot of feelings about this because I'm just tired of this, especially in the landscape of this bombshell that came out of the news about refereeing stuff earlier this week. We can get into that on the tail end of the podcast, but let's just focus on the penalty for now. So, it, this is the only league I even semi regularly watch where if the ball makes contact with the defender, it is automatically given as a penalty. In other leagues, including like international fixtures, there is so much more discretion used in awarding these penalties. And if this happened and Inter received a penalty off of this, I would not think this was a penalty. It will never make sense to me that you have Augusto bracing for a collision physically, extending his arm to brace for the contact. He thought the Torino player, and I forget who was riding the Torino player's back. Was it? I can't remember who it was. Whoever was riding the
Zapata, Zapata maybe.
Yeah, whatever. He's bracing for that collision that you could see coming real time. Zapata just happens to get his header on it. It's not a dangerous header. He was heading it directly into the ground, and it happens to go off Augusto's arm, and that's a penalty. I just- not a. It's always going to be called in Italy. I get it. That's how things work here. But it's just it's ironic and it's hilarious and it's ridiculous with the backdrop of everything going on externally right now.
Yeah, I guess the interpretation was that it was going kind of towards the goal, enough towards the goal. I guess that was it, and it hit the hand, and the arm wasn't like anywhere close to natural position. That's what Mariani, the ref, said there to the audience that it was, how do you call it, il naturale. Uh, so I guess that's the reasoning. I'm not like, yeah, if this happened against, I don't know, Milan, Juve, that would be pretty irritating. But in a game like this, well, I don't. It's like whatever. Uh, I'm not as strict as you with this one, but I see the angle that, like you said, it's automatic penalty when it touches the hand, and we we've got few of these as well. I think during the season that, mm, whatever, like it touches the hand, okay, it's a penalty, and no matter where the ball would be going and so on. But it's a bit frustrating because you rather want to see the play kind of go on, and it's not always about the hands and so on. But it is what it is. I want to quickly touch on DiMarco. Uh, I think it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. He is kind of he wasn't like great in this match, but he's doing his thing again. 2 assists, and he has now, was it 18 assists, and like a clear one season record in Serie A to get the assists. And I don't know how many of them, probably most, have come from the corner kicks. And even now, it was one of them from the corner. and it's kind of the brand for him. We score so many goals from set pieces. Is it like 20 now, if I remember correctly? Only in the league, so that's pretty cool. Or I don't know, not cool for some. How do you feel about that record or those records in general?
Yeah, I've had mixed feelings about it this season. As I've expressed in those podcasts before, I'm concerned that, hey, we're scoring too many goals off of set pieces and this isn't going to be sustainable heading into next season. But with that being said, I'll very much take it. The first goal was an especially just, it was a perfectly placed ball for Thuram. I was just so impressed by that cross from DeMarco. And I love the celebration afterwards. You could see how pumped Thuram was for it. And it, like you said, not a great game from DeMarco overall. We can all agree his form has dipped a little down the stretch here in this season, but impressive of him to get this record. The set pieces as a whole, I thought have just been fantastic. There was a set piece in the first half that didn't come off for us where I believe we played it short. We got the ball to Sucic, who put in a very similar back post cross. A Kanji got on the end of it, just happened to push it wide. And it was just another beautifully drawn up routine. And that's been the thing this season. And I don't know if is that the Palumbo factor we have to chalk it up to. It's just been, there's been so many of those smart, interesting routines this season where it's things I wouldn't think of on the pitch. We're not just swinging in crosses blindly. It's, oh, here's Brella or Zielinski on the outside of the box ready for a volley, or, oh, here we're playing it short and we're going to have somebody at the back post. It's really well thought out stuff. And I appreciate that. This isn't kind of the Arsenal stuff where you're running interference with the keeper and you're mucking it up. This is really like highly technical corner kick goals. So I don't want this to be the primary way we score goals next season. I don't think it's going to be as reliable as it has been in the past, but I'm enjoying it. And like I said, full credit to the coaching staff because there's some really clever stuff we're putting out there.
Yeah, and it's like an added weapon there. Like if you get 20 goals per season from set pieces, that's not that's not nothing. Like you gotta train those if you can pull those kind of stats out of it.
Yeah, completely agree. So it's just so disappointing to lose this match, or sorry, to draw this match when you had it so firmly in your control. But the upshot is, hey, we win next weekend. We lock up the Scudetto, and you get the luxury of doing that at home. Now, Mikko, correct me if I'm wrong. You have booked tickets to a match. Are you going to the match next week? What do you have booked?
Yes, yes, I do, and I gotta be honest. I secretly hope that this was a draw because now against Parma we we can we can seal the Scudetto by winning the match. And and if the math is right, I believe now now Napoli needs to maybe lose to Como so that it's sealed. So if they draw with Como away, that won't be enough, and they play before us. So we need to get our job done in that match where I'm going. So that was this. That was this result was completely fine with me, if I'm honest.
What I'm hearing is that you're still calm. So
Yeah,
understandable as always. So we're up 10 points, 4 matches to go. It's a matter of time. It's frustrating given the circumstances, but I do give the team a slight pass given the emotional high of the Como comeback earlier this week. And maybe we can round out the Torino discussion by just talking about Kivu. Do you put any of this blame with him? He made a, is it fair to call it a luxury substitution putting on Diouf at left wing back? I mean, I know Luis Enrique's hurt, and with Bastoni out, we had Augusto at left center back. So that move received some criticism. He goes to Frattesi late. I mean, we have an availability issue. We don't have a full strength squad. Did you think Kivu did anything wrong today that led to us settling for the draw?
yeah. You touched on the fact he didn't make any move after we conceded the first goal. And yeah, in hindsight, I think he should have done something there. He should have kind of reacted. He's a former player, so he should see those situations that okay, now this is not in full control anymore. should do something about this. And if I'm looking right, he didn't do any other subs than Bunny out and Pio in at 1 hour mark, and the rest of the subs were made after we scored that we conceded the second goal. So yeah, not totally happy. Happy. I guess the options weren't great since he had to put Youth there on the left. He wasn't great. He was pretty poor actually, and yeah, Dumfries, that was a normal. Mkhitaryan, that was a good one. He brought some stability there, at least to my eyes. Yeah, I guess it was okay, but the Frattesi sub was strange one. It was Frattesi for Bissek.
You need
So
a
it was
goal, you put on for Tazy. You know how this goes.
yeah. So we played like almost like a 4-4-2 at that point or something like that. But yeah, I guess the bench was a bit short there since we were missing Luis Enrique and who else we were missing? Çalhanoğlu wasn't there. He was on the bench, but was it that he wasn't ready for this match? I guess so. And Bastoni the same thing. Yeah, well, like you said, maybe it would have made sense to put in Acerbi or De Vrij, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe a bit inside 2020 here.
Yeah, the main problem and I'll talk about Dio for a second. I was, I don't want to say singing his praises, but he was good against Como and he made a positive impact. But the difference you saw today was when you asked Diouf to defend in any capacity. Against Como, it was easy because you were basically saying, get the ball, go, attack, attack, attack. And he was useful. But here he had tracking back responsibilities and it immediately showed the cracks in the foundation. He picked up a booking in the corner when he was really struggling defensively. There was a dicey moment towards the end where it looked like he was caught on the counter, and thankfully Zapata got called for a foul. It, it's not good enough. And well, as promising as he can look at times when he's has a full head of steam and he's going towards the goal, you can't count on this guy whatsoever when you are trying to hold a lead. So I do think that was part of the problem, but I get it because there's just no other options at wingback. Would be nice if we had Perisic. You know, I digress. But anyway, not a great performance from Diouf. I think we've covered just about everything we need to cover from the Torino match. So maybe we can. Do you want to talk about the refereeing stuff happening externally? I mean, this could probably be an episode in itself, but it's hard to ignore everything going on externally right now.
Yeah, we can go there. We can go there. I guess the news broke out early in the weekend. Was it on Friday? Friday or Saturday? I don't even remember anymore. What was the initial things you read from the whole thing?
It's funny how this has sort of morphed over time. So the first thing I read was that Rocky is going to be indicted, or he investigated rather, not indicted. And there's really no context for what he's going to be investigated for. All we know is he is the head referee, and that's because he's the head referee. When you see this, you go, "Oh boy, this is going to be good." And honestly, my first reaction was, "Here comes another embarrassment for Italy," because we are the only top flight league I'm aware of that is constantly having referees investigated and have had teams relegated for match fixing in the 21st century. As far as I'm aware of, we are the only ones. So whenever you see something like this pop up, like it's like, here we go again. So there's no
Yeah.
context whatsoever.
there was this funny meme I saw in Twitter how someone posted this promo, Serie A promo from a few years back, where there's Cannavaro and Capello and Tony in the picture, and the picture says that Calcio is back. You remember that promo, and there was this text that okay, there's escort girls scandal and referee scandal within 10 days, so Calcio is really back.
That's right. You have to wonder what Oak Tree's thinking right now. Like, what on earth did we buy?
Yeah, but the referee scandal, from what I understand at the moment, is that Rocky is indeed investigated or being investigated for, I don't know, fixing certain referees to certain games, and there were some allegations that Inter would have influenced these decisions. So that reeks the Calciopoli scandal from 20 years back. But uh, so far, all the information says that there's no one else being kind of investigated than Rocky, and was there maybe some other referee, some war referee or something, and no kind of club people involved in these investigations. So I'm not exactly sure how how Inter would be involved in this one. The claims are a bit vague. There are these talks that, so it's about last season, last spring, when there were the Inter Milan Coppa semi-final, and during that there would have been some influencing that, okay, we Inter do not want Doveri to referee matches for us anymore. And was it before that? I'm not like super detailed how the logic goes there, but the fact is, after that Coppa match, we played Parma-Inter, and Doveri was referring that. So I don't know what's going on. How good these kind of accusations are. They, like some of them feel that they are kind of interpretations from the prosecutors' papers, and then these media outlets are kind of taking leap of faith here and there to make their stories look a bit more juicy than the story really is. To me, this looks more like I don't know, the inside the referee spectrum or referee world, like a workplace politics or something. Like who gets to who gets to what game, and they get these ratings from the matches, and the whole thing originates from some letter from some assistant referee who sent a letter last year, and that was the whole thing which kind of started this. The prosecutor said that, okay, they got the message or the letter and they didn't do anything about it. But then now there is some investigation still going on. So it was opened, the whole thing, and blah blah blah. And here we are. But like I said, to me this looks more like a referee thing than referee thing, in a sense that they are playing their kindergarten games here. And let's see what Rocky will say. I believe he is going. There's going to be a hearing where Rocky is on. It's maybe Thursday. So in a few days we should get more information. What is your kind of thoughts about all this?
My overarching thought is that if Inter have been bribing the league for refereeing decisions going our way, this has been the worst return on investment imaginable. Like, we are clearly not doing a good enough job bribing the referees if this is what's happening. The
Yep, yep.
it is also hilarious how Roki was someone who we all absolutely hated when he was a referee. Absolutely no Inter fan thought this guy was a good referee, or even a referee who benefited us. And here we are, and he's all this time been a silent assassin trying to help us out. It's like, okay, sure, guys. But in all seriousness, from what I've seen, it looks like they're really focusing on this Parma Udinese game, and that's the main point of controversy. It doesn't sound like they actually, like, no one, like you said, no one at Inter is being investigated. when you start adding up the facts of what happened, like, sure, we might have asked Doveri not to be a referee for one of our matches after he put in a poor effort against Milan, and then sure enough, he ends up refereeing a match 3 days later anyway. So it sure doesn't seem like any influencing was actually taking place. This is as much as Juve and dumb Milan fans online are trying to create something out of this. This is nowhere near the 2006 scandal levels, at least not yet. We'll see what else is being unveiled. But I think this is mostly just a pathetic attempt from Milan and Juve fans and their favorite media sources to try and put a dent in what has been a, romping Scudetto campaign from Inter. And with not much else to talk about in the press, they're trying to keep themselves entertained. Is my general takeaway.
Yeah, it's strange. Well, it's not strange, but how is it always like this when Inter is about to win the Scudetto? It's always like this. It was 2 years ago. 2 years ago it was like this. It was Oak Tree and Chang's and or yeah, sorry, Chang's because Chang's owned the club at that point, but they were about to lose Inter. So what the media and of course then the fans go crazy that okay, Inter's gonna go bankruptcy and we might lose the Scudetto or whatever, like these type of things. And and it was 5 years ago when we won with Conte, it was the debacle with Conte when he was about to leave, or it was uncertain will he leave and how how will we manage, and it was the financial situation back then as well. The same thing. There's always this kind of scandal going on, uh, kind of created by the media when Inter is winning, and we so this one, the last one, and well, the Conte one as well. All of these were won by a large margin or like quite early in the season, like several rounds before the end. So they have this time to um, kind of invent these scandals, uh, which somehow involves Inter, and that's just the way it is. And we gonna just, I don't know, we need to understand how the game works, and that's how it goes. But we are winning the Scudetto hopefully next weekend, uh, and I don't think this refereeing scandal will live for too long. After Rocky will go and talk in his hearing.
I have seen people point out that it's been 20 years since 2006. So if we can get Italy, forced into the World Cup due to a withdrawal of Iran, and then Italy goes on and wins the World Cup, I will settle for that timeline if it requires some sort of match fixing scandal in Syria.
Yeah, players would be probably very proud to represent Italy there in the World Cup.
All right. Well, let's finish this thing up with a prediction for next weekend's match. Now, I think you said you will be there, so please, what are you looking forward to?
Yeah, so it's not gonna be a walk in the park because the team everyone knows the stakes there, but it's a home game. Everyone's rooting for the team, and I believe we're gonna go and get the job done, and we win 2-0, and I think Lautaro will get a goal. He comes off the bench and gets the second goal. The first is scored by Thuram. He's on fire now, so he keeps scoring. 2-0 Inter.
Parma have been a tough nut to crack this season, and they've actually been in excellent form the past 10 games or so, or they have more wins and draws than losses. So, not playing like a bottom of the table side, they've taken points from many big teams this season, I believe, including Juve and Napoli, and even Milan, maybe. I'd have to check, but they've been excellent this season, all things considered. So I'm not expecting an easy game. I do like that it's at home. These injuries just have me concerned. We have too many key players out. No Lautaro, no Bastoni. who knows what's going on with Hakan, and we're gonna need some of these guys back for me to be truly confident. With that being said, I want this thing to get over the finish line for you, and since you'll be there, I will go ahead and liberally predict a 3-0 win. Give me a brace from Thuram, and then DeMarco scores so many assists, it's time for him to score a goal. So that'll be our 3-0.
Nice, nice.
The real bold part of that is predicting our clean sheet, given the defenders currently available to us, but we can dream.
Yeah, it was like interesting to see that Sommer was playing this one. Wasn't Martinez playing in the previous league match?
Yeah, he
But
played
was it
against Kyrie
because
and Como in the Copa.
but what was it was Sommer like hurt or something? I don't even remember anymore. I guess he was. So it's kind of Coppa for Martinez and then league for Sommer. But let's see. Let's
Let
hope
me
for the
ask you
best.
one question before we head out again about this match. Would you start a Cherby or DeVry at central center back next match instead of a Kanji?
Good question. I think I would, although the Como match didn't look great, to be honest.
No, a Cherby was
But
awful against Como both times, really.
yeah, but I think Parma is not maybe that good as Como. I believe we're gonna give the ball most of the match, so it's maybe a bit different. But that's a good question because on the other hand, maybe we need just to have these a bit quicker guys on the back line because we cycle the ball on their half for most of the match. I assume. I don't know. Then we bring in one of those guys later in the match when we just want to close the shop or something. That's a good question. I would go with Pisekan Akanji. That's my plan. We're gonna dominate the match, so let's go with that.
All right. Well, we'll be back next week. We'll talk about whatever happened and maybe be talking about another refereeing scandal. Who knows at this rate? Regardless, Miko, I'll let you do the honors.
Forza Inter.
That's right. And please, as always, smash that like button. Catch you guys all later.
Bye bye.